You are watching our daughter Sarah hooping, as she puts it, with the boys at the YMCA. She has played at courts all over the country as we've traveled. She has played with, well, whoever's on the court when we get there. This has, for the most part, toughened Sarah considerably and helped her step up her game in general. From an early age, I taught Sarah and her brother Joseph, who is guarding Sarah in this particular game, the fundamentals. That is, the mechanics of shooting, dribbling, passing. My wife Liz played netball in New Zealand, sort of a slower, more refined form of basketball, and she helped teach the kids some of the fundamentals as well, her strong suit being defense. She is forever yelling, hands up, and box out, during the games. That's my Cleveland version of a New Zealand accent there. Several years ago, we moved close to the inner city of Cleveland, where the brand of basketball on the playgrounds is fast and intense. Sarah took to this and began playing practically every day. She also ended up with a quasi-coach named Mike, who took her under his wings at the local rec center. Mike had played in college and was in training for a tryout with the semi-pro team. The combination of all this helped hone Sarah's basketball skills considerably. And as I said at the outset, toughened her up, maybe a little too much, in fact. During one long campaign tour a couple years ago, we decided to stop for a few months during the winter in South Bend, Indiana. There we got the kids involved with the homeschooling basketball league. Sarah became the starting point guard. In her first game, Sarah had 3 fouls called on her in the first minute and a half of play. Seriously. By the 3rd foul, Sarah was standing there looking incredulously at the ref. I could tell what she was thinking. What do you mean foul? They're not bleeding. You have to be bleeding for it to be a foul in Cleveland. Sarah's coach signaled for a timeout and called her over. Sarah, you're not allowed to touch anyone the rest of the season, he said, only half kidding. Sarah did learn to dial the contact back a few notches and went on to have quite a season in Indiana. For the Schriner family, it was a little bit of the movie Hoosiers come to life. After the season, we went back out on the road, logging some 10,000 campaign miles while stopping at so many basketball courts. Well, I can't tell you. Among a number of courts that particularly stand out is this one inner city court in New Orleans. It was outdoors under some lights in a mostly black part of town. Sarah and I had gone up to shoot around, but there were some games going on with guys in their late teens and early 20s. There was also this one woman who appeared to be good enough to start at most colleges in the country. Sarah ended up guarding this woman during one of the games. And Sarah, who was a freshman in high school at the time, while not as good as this woman, did indeed hold her own this night. And a number of guys complimented Sarah after the game. And while I was quite proud of Sarah this evening in New Orleans, I had been even a lot prouder of her on a court a couple weeks earlier. It was in the rural backwater Georgia town of Commerce. There we researched an organization called Jubilee Partners. This is a Christian group that has, over the years, been a short-term port of entry, if you will, for refugee groups from around the world. These are people who come here, for the most part, to flee desperate poverty or political oppression. Over the years, they have taken in people from Ethiopia, from Bosnia, Afghanistan, Iraq, and so many other countries. Anyway, this day, I just finished an interview with one of the staff members. Then I walked outside. There in the distance was Sarah at the small, cracked basketball court they had on the property. And she wasn't alone. With her was a group of young refugee girls who were from the Sudan, I believe. Sarah was patiently teaching them how to dribble, how to shoot, amidst a good deal of gaiety and laughter. While they didn't speak the same language, they actually did, if you know what I mean. They had found a way to connect on that court, the common denominator being that scuffed round ball and the old rusty hoop. But more than that, it was Sarah reaching out, as I've seen her do so often with those on the margins, to make a difference in someone's life.